Hi, MakerLab people. It's Brianna here. I am the MakerLab coordinator at Two Rivers Gallery, located on the traditional unceded territory of the Lheidli T'enneh, also known as Prince George. So this week is Accessibility Week, and for our MakerLab video, we wanted to really focus on the diverse range of makers that we have at MakerLab, as well as what the diverse range of makers can be in regards to adaptive making. So Margaret Tatey, who you'll meet in this video, is a MakerLab mentor who is teaching herself to weave without sight. And this came about because family members and friends who have lost their sight or are losing their sight still want to have the ability to weave and make. So this concept really intrigued me, and I wondered what else was out there and how weaving is currently being incorporated into adaptive making. My research actually led me to the Hartford Artisans Weaving Center in Hartford, Connecticut, who you'll meet two of the lovely blind weavers that they have at this center. So this center is dedicated to teaching senior and blind and visually impaired people to weave. If you'd like to find out more about this center, we have linked their website and a short video of them in the description. I really hope you enjoy today's video.
And I'm joined today by Ana Cuevas, who is a blind weaver and out of the Hartford Artisans Weaving Center in Hartford, Connecticut. So, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Joanna Bolduc, who is a blind weaver out of the Hartford Artisans Weaving Center in Hartford, Connecticut. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I'm joined by Margaret Tatey, MakerLab mentor here at Two Rivers Gallery and all things fiber related. And Lance, who is joining us in from Calgary. So, hi.
Hello.
Today we're going to be talking about adaptive making and the importance of having adaptive making or accessible making and how it directly relates to weaving.
Adaptive to me is being able to do as much as you can by yourself and then get help when there's those things that you cannot do independently.
Accessible making. It's just being able, with a disability, without a disability, being able to create something that gives satisfaction to everybody.
It gives me a chance to continue to be creative and do the things that give me joy, which was something I was really struggling with when I stopped seeing well.
I've had to work around developing issues with my hands because I have repetitive strain issues. So I've had to work more and more ergonomically as time has gone on. So I've been problem solving on and off my whole life, trying to help other people find ways to work around, we'll just say bits of the bottom falling out of their universe.
I have retinitis pigmentosa.
Okay.
I was diagnosed in 1989, and by 98, I was legally blind, and then totally blind by 2002. It went quick.
I have what's called optic neuritis, which is it's connected to the MS.
It took me longer to do things as I lost vision, so there wasn't time for fun. I just did what had to be done.
Yeah.
So anything I wanted to do or that was fun to do, that just got scratched off the list right away.
Yeah.
Now, I do consider myself fortunate because when you don't see, you really do concentrate. I never thought about it that way. A very good friend of mine a few years ago in college, we were talking and he said, I think that because you don't have sight, you can focus your attention a lot more. And he said, and I will tell you what, or why. He said, because right now I'm sitting and I'm talking to you and I'm already seeing the person who's coming through the door.
And the conversation is that personal connection.
Yeah.
Right? So for that period of time while I'm doing this and you're watching or I'm teaching and we're talking about it, I'm fully involved in the community. Right? I'm not some guy sitting off to the side because he can't do anything.
Want to get the word out about persons with disabilities and change that mentality of they're taken care of. You know, in a lot of ways, we get help, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But we also help. We're not always receiving. We are also very capable of giving.
So how did you personally get started with weaving? What was the draw?
So weaving is it's so organic, and it's so it looks like magic.
Weaving's definitely very accessible.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it would be, but it definitely is accessible.
And our director sat me at a loom, and my impression was not a very good one up front. I thought, this is what I'm going to do. And I will tell you this, I knew nothing about weaving. I heard weaving when I was in high school, I think, but I associated weaving with grandparents. And at 17, I really didn't want to be around seniors very much.
Weaving is much more important than what the tape is that I finished the product with. It's what I feel as I'm doing it. And the connection between myself and the fibers I'm working with.
I find it an active form of meditation. So, you know, you have to be very present. You can't think about what am I making for dinner. You can't think about an argument you have. You have to sit there, you focus on the pattern. You get the rhythm of the beat. You know, your feet are moving on the treadles, you're doing little dances, and you're just so focused that sometimes you just forget where you are.
And so weaving is the thing that I can do most easily when I'm having visual problems, because it's very tactile.
Yeah. And I'll have 3 or 4 scarves on here, and each one, the pattern will be different. So this is, my first scarf will be an easy pattern.
Yeah.
And then the next scarf will be a little harder, and the next scarf will be a little harder. So I'm using measuring tape to tell me, you know, I have this much more. So I'll be done. It'll be 67 inches long.
And so the interesting part is weaving, as you know, is very visual, and I have no vision. And so I'm just very attracted, and really it's a very good feeling to be able to make things by hand.
Yeah.
That's not done very often or very much anymore. I still like the good old-fashioned way, and that's brailing with a slate and stylus. I braille my sequences, I read them, and I just weave.
So I use my digital recorder, and what I do is I type up the pattern into my computer.
Yeah.
I have a talking program that reads it back.
Yeah.
Thick 2 and 7, thick 4 and 5, thick 1 and 8, thick 2 and 7.
So what that's telling me, this is that last piece I showed you, the thick and thin. So it's telling me I had to hit 2 treadles at the same time to use the thick shuttle or the thin shuttle. And what I would do is I'd, play it, stop it, do it, play it, stop it, do it.
Yeah.
So it would keep track of where I am in the pattern so I don't get lost.
But when I'm weaving, I'm feeling my edges.
Yeah.
I'm reading my sequence. I'm not focusing on anything else beyond my loom.
Yeah.
Come to the realization that there will be a lot of time where I can't actually see what's coming off of my loom. I can't see it clearly. I can't distinguish the pattern. So a lot of that's going to have to be, you make changes. I work with brighter lights now. I work with brighter colors.
You mentioned that you brought in some pieces for us. I would love to see some.
And then I have this one. I believe this is a twill, but I believe it's done in like a wool, a silk wool.
Wow.
You can see that? And I have, these are one of the first scarves I made.
Oh my goodness.
And this has Bronson lace. And I don't know if the camera can pick up in between here where my finger is.
Yeah.
That's a supplemental weave. So it almost feels like, almost like a ribbon that kind of goes in and out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I call this one my spiritual piece because I was working with 2 shuttles, and I was working with, when you went to throw the shuttle, you had to do 2 treadles each time. So I did a lot of praying.
Oh my goodness.
And it was a miracle to get the loops. And if you can see, it's thick and thin thread. So you've got the loops to make them even, and you had to beat the hell out of it to get the right texture. So this is my spiritual piece.
If anyone's noticed, but Margaret's been weaving while looking at the camera this whole time, and not looking down at her pieces at all.
You can see it didn't slow me down that substantially.
No.
Right.
I started with about an inch of this here.
Pieces feel different when they're on the loom.
Mhm.
They feel one way. And then when it's a finished project, because it's washed and it's finished, it just feels like something totally different.
Mhm.
Totally different. And you're like, is that the same piece? Are you guys lying to me? It can't be the same piece because it doesn't feel the same. It don't.
How can we be supportive or inclusive in these kind of environments?
It's tiny things. It really
Yeah.
is just very tiny things, often enough that are just not unthink of, and they should be.
And I think one of the best ways to promote what you do and show that you are there for everybody is to highlight as many artisans who are doing things in spite of,
Mhm.
you know.
For instance, I have a Mac. Well, the Mac, if you're blind, you can access the Mac just by turning the software on because the screen reader is already there.
Mhm.
If you're using Windows, then you have to either download a screen reader.
How has what you've done and what you've created helped MakerLab or helped the community at Two Rivers?
Well, I have started out by helping the MakerLab develop a small weaving kit that allows you to tie yourself up the way I am right now with a kit that I've got of my own. That is 3D printed and laser cut. So the heddles are laser cut and the shuttles are 3D printed so that anything that gives you 2 fixed points lets you sit somewhere and weave. Well, it makes weaving, which can be quite a cost outlay if you're buying commercial equipment, a very low cost, easy entry activity.
Where am I right now? I am at the Hartford Artisans Weaving Center, where the program is for seniors and blind and or visually impaired people of all ages.
Every year we get a grant where we learn a new structure, and everyone at the center learns it. Everyone gets to do a couple pieces in the new technique.
Yeah.
And we have a big presentation where they show us all the finished products, and you get to touch them and just feel, okay, you learned one technique, but there's so many different pieces that you can make out of it. Their present location, they started in 2009. They took over a program from the Oak Hill School for the Blind, and that was senior weavers and blind and visually impaired weavers. So they've been in their location for 10 years. They started with just basically one room in the office, and I started 7 years ago, and they were using the whole floor that I'm on. And they recently now have the whole building. So they have classrooms for public teaching.
The only thing I've got to say to anybody that's watching this is if you're sitting on the fence about starting something, stop sitting on the fence. Make something.
Make something.
Be willing to fail because that's the only way you'll figure it out.
Absolutely.